This has been proved in research over and over and over. Chronic low back pain leads to depression. Okay, so people who have pain, low back pain, and they've not done something about it, or even if they've done something about it, it may or may not be the right treatment. And the struggle is real. People do all kinds of things and never really get solution. That 3 months down the line, they've not got a solution for the pain, and then people start to get anxious, and there is this anxiety complex that builds over it. And depression is a strong word. I don't want to use that word, but I have seen patients who are under depression. It becomes a psychosomatic issue. Then it's so difficult to bring out the pain because you have to work on it from a mental standpoint as well as a physical standpoint, and then they both play into each other. The stress makes the pain worse, the pain makes the stress worse, so it's like that cycle that never stops. I'm Dr. Rajni Patil. I'm a spine and sports physiotherapy specialist. I've been practicing for 19 years. My clinics are in Shivaji Park and Vile Parle, Mumbai. So I want to first explain, I like this to be as practical as possible. However, I do have to tell you a little bit of anatomy about the lower back. Only then you will really understand the spine, right? So I have a picture for you somewhere. I dug out an old book. Okay, so that, if you can see, is a spine, right? That looks complex, I know. So this is your neck, this is your upper back, that's your lower back, and that's your sacrum. So what does that mean? Your lower back, you cannot think of your lower back as being one part. It is a part of your whole spine. The spine basically is small bones. They are vertebrae stacked one on top of each other, and there are muscles around it. There are ligaments that hold everything. There are discs in between two bones, and there is a cavity, hollow cavity, from which the nerves go through, and these are the nerves that supply all your upper body and your lower body. So it's a really complex structure. The whole spine is really, really complex, and this is why back pain tends to be very recurring. Back pain, if somebody has back pain once, then there is a very high likelihood that if they have not treated it to full rehab, or if they've not 100% taken care of it, then it will keep coming. It's a recurring theme that happens, and then people say that every time the back pain seems to get a little bit worse, and then one fine day they will have like a major episode and they're down for 5 days. Back pain is so complex and difficult to treat, and it becomes more and more difficult the longer you wait to treat it. So one reason is your lower back attaches into your SI joints and your hips. So you know what your hips are, but let me tell you about SI joints. I'm just going to quickly show you that. So if this is my lower back, okay, this is my sacrum, this is my pelvic complex, this is my hip, and the two dimples here are my SI joints. Can you see that? Okay. So you see how if you have back pain, it can come from any number of these structures, and sometimes we have to treat all of them. We have to treat the SI, the hip, the back, the pelvis, all of that to get proper results. Sometimes it could also be coming from higher. So with back, it is something that I say I'm very big proponent about self-treating. Okay, I give all these tips about how you can self-treat, but lower back and pain that usually moves from one part to the other, this is where I say immediately get in touch with somebody that you know and trust and get some help right away, because of all this complex connections with the SI and the hip, and you don't know where it's coming from. So you should always have somebody, whenever you have back pain, have somebody on speed dial that you know, I'm going to get in touch with this person. It can be your family doctor, it can be your physiotherapist, it can be me, it can be an ortho, it can be somebody that knows your spine who can help you quick. Let's talk about how SI joint and your hips can be related to your lower back pain. If you have pain in the lower back, say it's on both sides, then it's usually a pain that is coming from muscular sprain or things like that. Or you could have a disc issue that's central. But if it is one-sided pain, that could mean that it's coming from your SI joint, the two dimples on the back that I showed you. It could be coming from there, coming up, or it could be coming from the hip going in. So it could be any of those if it's a unilateral pain. Generally, lower back pain is unilateral, and this is where we have to pay a little more attention to where it's coming from and how to make this go away. But when it is across, then it's usually coming from the lower back itself, may or may not be the SI joint complex. So you could have pain that radiates down into the glutes, which is your buttock, and then it could go into the hamstrings. This happens all the time, and this is treated wrong by a lot of people. They think it's a hamstring strain and they start stretching the hamstring, and that's the worst thing to do. So when you start stretching your hamstring, you will have pulled on the nerve that attach into the back, and you will have made your back pain worse. So always get the diagnosis right. Is it a hamstring strain? Is it sciatica? Is it coming from the back? Is it a local glute issue? What is it that's causing the pain? Okay. Any one dysfunction in any one area can make sure that the pain never goes away. Like it can go for a little bit and then it just stays with you for a while. Then you start to live with it, and that's the worst thing that you can do, because chronic pain, and this has been proved in research over and over and over, chronic low back pain leads to depression. Okay, so people who have pain, low back pain, and they've not done something about it, or even if they've done something about it, it may or may not be the right treatment, and the struggle is real. People do all kinds of things and never really get solution. That 3 months down the line, they've not got a solution for the pain, and then people start to get anxious, and there is this anxiety complex that builds over it. And depression is a strong word. I don't want to use that word, but I have seen patients who are under depression. Then it becomes a psychosomatic issue. Then it's so difficult to bring out the pain because you have to work on it from a mental standpoint as well as a physical standpoint. And then they both play into each other. The stress makes the pain worse. The pain makes the stress worse. So it's like that cycle that never stops. Let me talk about some of the diagnoses that can happen with low back pain, right? One could be your typical sprain, a muscle spasm that happens on one side of the spine, but that will usually be higher. So it will usually be in this area of the spine. If you have pain across here, or if you have pain across here, it's usually a spasm happening there. Because your lats sit over there, latissimus dorsi sit there, but also your paraspinal muscles sit there. So they can go into a spasm and cause pain. And you could also feel like a stiffness along with that pain. The other diagnosis could be spondylitis. You may be diagnosed with spondylitis, and this can be diagnosed with an X-ray or an MRI. You could have a disc issue. Disc usually, I have a picture somewhere. I wanted to show you a full disc also. Let me explain what a disc is, because slip disc is a term that gets used a lot. Okay, and that's a layman term for saying that something is wrong with the disc. But if you look at it medically, the disc basically is a think about it as a donut, a jelly-filled donut, right? You all know what donuts are. You know that there is jelly in between. So when your spine, when the bone above and the bone below press onto the disc, and if you're doing excessive movement one way, usually it is flexion, forward bending, then the disc can start to undergo changes, especially with age or with repeated forward bending. You can have changes in the disc. So what will happen is that jelly-filled donut, say I'm doing flexion, I'm bending this way. So what do you think is going to happen? The jelly is going to move this way because it's pliable, right? It's flexible. Over a period of time, if your core muscles are not strong, your body is going to say that jelly is going to start penetrating the outer rims of the disc. So it will start coming out, and then remember I told you that hollow space, there are nerves that go through there. So as soon as that disc, that jelly material starts to come out, it will press immediately on a nerve that sits there. And then wherever that nerve goes, whichever nerve that it hits is the area that you will feel the pain. So sciatica is usually that. Sciatica again is a layman term for leg pain. So when you have pain that travels from the lower back going into the hip, glute, hip, thigh, and then lower leg, this is sciatica. Anytime that the pain travels, you need to get medical attention quickly. If it is in this area and just staying on one side, then you can self-treat. But the minute it starts to travel, you must get attention, because now it is nerve and you don't know how to reverse that. You need to have a doctor look. Listhesis, somebody told me you have a listhesis. That means the bone has actually moved either forward or backward, and that's pressing structures and that's causing pain. Stenosis is basically where the spinal cord is getting compressed on one side, and that's causing pain in both legs. Stenosis usually causes symptoms in both legs. All other kind of back symptoms radiating pain is usually in one leg. Scoliosis, arthritis, kidney issues can also radiate pain here. People who have back pain and at some point they've been told by their doctor to start using a belt, they will continue to use the belt long after what the doctor has told them. So they start to use it like a crutch. They feel like, okay, this is the only way that I can get some relief. And then it becomes a dependency, it becomes a crutch. And then people continue to use it for a long time. And what happens with this is the longer that you use a back belt, the muscles in your core get weaker and weaker and weaker. So if you know anybody, or if you are using a back belt, please stop wearing it unless your doctor has told you that you still need to wear it, or your doctor has, or your pain is very, very recent. A back belt should only be used for the first 2 days, max a week. More than that, you don't need to wear it. Now, the same thing happens. The second mistake that people make is resting, bed rest. And by that I mean bed rest. Bed rest also in India gets overused a lot. So people get told that do bed rest more than what you're supposed to do. Then your back is going to get weaker and stiffer with time, and then coming back from it is going to be that much tougher. Then you will have pain because of stiffness, and you'll have pain because of weakness. So the initial problem may have gone away, but you have created another problem for you. So again, my rule of thumb for bed rest is 2 days, max 5 days. And then slowly start to move, gradually do the movements that help you, and then you will be out of it. And the third mistake that people make, and I don't know how long I should keep saying this, but I say this a lot: stop using a hot pack, start using an ice pack. Okay, unless your pain is chronic, so you've had pain more than 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, then it's okay to use a hot pack. But otherwise, for any kind of back pain in the first 1 week, you should always use an ice pack, never a hot pack. I have seen so many people with back pain make their pain worse on their own by using a hot pack in the first couple of days. Pain can be of different kinds, right? Pain can be constant, it can be intermittent, it can be a dull, achy pain, it can be a diffuse pain, it can be local pain, it can be sharp shooting pain, it can be throbbing pain. So, what kind of pain is there is also determined by the kind of injury you've had, and the treatment also sometimes varies. So if the pain travels, it has to be treated by a doctor. If you have dull, achy pain and throbbing pain and constant pain, again, this needs to be shown to a physician or a physio. But if it is, pain that is between 0 and 3, it's intermittent pain only when you do certain things, then this is probably something you can self-treat with an ice pack and some gentle exercises. Factor number 1, sleeping position. This is a big one. People ask me all the time, what is the right way to sleep? If you have back pain, then the best way to sleep is sleeping on your side, because that takes the load away. But if you have pain on one side of the back, then there will be one side of the back that's difficult it's more painful to sleep, and there might be one side of the back that is easier to sleep. So find a comfort position, sleep on the side if possible. If you are sleeping on the back, then you want to prop your knees up with pillows, and that helps a lot. Rajniya, she makes an excellent point. Pilates is excellent for the lower back. So if I can pick the exercises that work, they are core exercises. Pilates is a big part of that. Walking, swimming, maybe even running. These are the exercises that help the lower back. So sleeping positions. So I hope that's clear. People who are generally tummy sleepers, sleeping on your tummy, they usually end up with some neck issues, but it's okay for the lower back for the most part. Mattress. People ask me all the time again, what is the best mattress to sleep on if there is back pain? Generally, as a rule of thumb, firmer mattress is better than a really super soft one. Memory foam mattress also is something that you can invest in, but firmer the better. Again, some people say that, can I sleep on the floor? Now that I find a little bit too extreme. But I know people who have got relief for that, because every back is different, every person is different. It can either help you or it may not. So you may want to experiment with that, but generally go with a firmer surface rather than a softer surface. For mattress, again, how do you know that it's your mattress that's causing your back pain? If you wake up in the morning with stiffness and pain frequently, then that's a signal that tells you that your mattress needs to go, or mattress needs to be flipped, or mattress needs to be changed. And this is only when you have primarily in the morning stiffness and pain, but it could also mean that you need to do flexibility and mobility work. Sitting posture. This is a big topic. Posture, I can't tell you enough about. That has to be a whole different webinar, I feel, about posture. But pay attention to your sitting postures at work, at home, whether you're sitting on your sofa. You can use a towel roll like I have shown in some of my videos. Use that to sit, support your lower back and sit. Don't sit without support, because no matter how many exercises you're doing, your back is not meant to sit without back support for 6 hours, 8 hours. So make sure your lower back is supported. Okay. So that's about sitting. Don't sit for too long, because that is one of the factors that causes. So any kind of prolonged sitting, any kind of prolonged standing, prolonged driving, all these cause back pain. And these are pain that keeps getting aggravated if you don't correct that lifestyle issue. Standing. If you have, so in sitting, I told you can use a towel roll, or you also get these ergonomic products that I usually have in the clinic also, to place it in the small of your back when you're sitting, so that your lower back is nice and supported, so you're sitting up straighter as compared to slouched. So using that helps a lot. If you are, say, if you have pain during cooking or standing for a long time, then putting your one foot up on a little bit of a ledge just underneath you helps a lot. You can do that, but keep changing the leg, because you don't want one leg to fatigue out. But usually if you have pain in standing for a long time or walking, that usually means that your core needs to work. Big point, workouts gone wrong. So many back issues happen because of workouts done incorrectly, workouts form not right, workouts made it too much, did too soon, no warm up, no cool down. There are so many reasons why injuries happen because of incorrect workouts. So whatever you're doing right now at home, you want to do it gently, you want to do it with supervision, you want to have it checked out by somebody who knows the spine and knows your body. Then only do these things. Bhakti, you ask an excellent question. How to treat tingling sensation? Okay, so can I just say this? If there is if there is a disc issue or if there is a nerve issue going on in the lower back, the first symptom you will feel is local pain. The second symptom you will feel pain starting to radiate down into the butt. Then the pain will start going lower and lower and lower, and then you will have tingling, and then you will have numbness, and then you will have weakness, true weakness going on. So the minute that you have tingling or you have numbness, this means that you have ignored it far too long. It means that there is a nerve compression going on somewhere that needs to be addressed right away. So Bhakti, please do get in touch with someone, with a physio. You can get in touch with me also, I can help you, but I will need to see your spine for that. Also, tingling is generally, like I said, a nerve compression. So you want to figure out what are the kinds of things that bring the tingling on, and then avoid those particular movements, and that will help a lot. Awkward movements. Yes, this is an important factor in back pain. What do I mean by awkward positions? Awkward positions basically means if you're watching TV in the bed, sitting like this with your legs out in front, this is the worst way to sit. Even if you are sitting for watching TV, or even if you're sitting with your laptop in your lap, worst way to sit, because here not only does your back go into a flexion, it also pulls all the nerves from your lower back going into the legs. So this is causing a lot of unnecessary strain. So if you're sitting on the bed working or watching TV, fold your legs and sit, or don't sit on the bed at all. Sit on a chair or something supportive. That's much better. Excessive bending. This is very, very common. People bend. Do you know how many times you bend forward? A lot. If I had to tell you numbers, then you would be shocked. In a day, you probably bend about, I don't know, 150, 200, 300 times without even realizing. One example is first thing in the morning when you get up and you go to brush your teeth, what do? You bend forward. And this, people don't even realize that you're bending forward. So our spine bends forward a lot, and we don't do nearly as many backward bending. And this is one of the major reasons why today people have back pain is so common. Sitting in a slouched position is also bending, by the way. So the minute your spine goes into flexion and not neutral, straight, the minute it goes into flexion, you are allowing your disc to do all kinds of things that you don't want it to do. Carrying wrong. So pressure cooker, if you're lifting with one arm or you're lifting it from the side, that can do, that is not good for you. If you are carrying bags, so if you have to carry a grocery bag on one side that's heavy, that's going to be a problem. So distribute it, take 2 bags and hold it here, because now your spine has to work evenly. Because when you carry on one side, what's going to happen is you're doing this, no, you're doing this. So you're actually walking like this when you have a heavy weight on your right side. So what's happening is all these muscles on the left side get overused. They're working so much extra hard, and that's again going to cause pain, right? So that's, I hope somebody asked me a question about carrying things the wrong way. That's also a huge factor. So people also have told me that when they, you can get a back spasm, but you can also get an abdominal cramp with that. Because if your core is not strong, then the pain can radiate from the back into the abdomen. Other reasons why you could have pain, or factors that cause pain. One is if you are a smoker, your healing is just not that good. Second, if nutritionally something is deficient, then your back doesn't heal as well. So if calcium and vitamin D somewhere are low, even B12, people who have a nerve type of pain, B12 is a huge factor for them as well. So getting a blood test and figuring out if these are deficient helps a lot. But you know, everybody is deficient. So I'm not saying you want to take supplements, but I'm saying that in your diet, be a little more conscious about what you can add. Osteoporosis is a diagnosis that can make sure that your pain doesn't go away also. So if your osteoporosis basically means that your bones are not as strong. So if your spinal bones are not very strong, again, with that you can have pain. How do you know if you have osteoporosis? With a DEXA scan. I don't know if you want to go and do a DEXA right now, but you can at least take calcium to make your bones stronger. Genetic. There is a genetic factor for lower back pain, by the way. So there are people who will say that my father suffered all his life with back pain, and now I also have a back pain. Please understand the genetic factor is a small factor in back pain. Generally, for back pain, it's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle that you are doing right now that is causing an abuse to your back and causing all these pains. So figure out from all these factors, what is it that you are doing wrong, and fix that first before you can actually make your pain go away. One big factor in back pain is pulling through the pain. So people who have back pain, what they'll say is, yeah, thoda pain tha, but I kept going. I kept doing my housework. I kept doing the things that were bothering me because the pain was mild, and then suddenly they'll be out of commission. This happens so many times. So don't let this be you. If there is a little bit of pain, address it immediately. The sooner that you can do, the better. Is there a correct way of picking luggage from conveyor belts, especially? Yes, there is. I'm glad you asked me that. So most people from conveyor belts, or you can actually, you can think about it as if you're picking up from, say, this height, right? That. So if you've got something here, and if you are turned and you're pulling this way, you are causing a lot of strain in your lower back. Definitely don't want to do it. Whatever you're lifting, you want to be in front of it. You want to slightly bend your knees and pick up. The lower it is, the more you need to squat down to pick. Use your legs, because your leg muscles are bigger and they are stronger than the small muscles of the lower back. So yes, don't I'll tell you how lower back injuries happen. Anytime that you are in a slightly, so this is a rotation, right? So my back is in a little bit of rotation. The minute I do rotation and flexion, this is exactly where my spine is vulnerable to injury. If I am picking up something like this, then my back is going to go, not maybe the first time, but the longer you do these kinds of things, it's going to go at some point. The disc is going to get affected. So the best way to do it is to be here and lift. And you probably, all of you can relate to this. Everybody lifts the wrong way. Everybody picks up things the wrong way from the floor. You will never catch me bending forward. This is something that you will never see me do. Okay, I'm always doing this, and it's a habit. And you know, people find it awkward, or I don't find it awkward. I don't. And it's just habit, because I know that I have to protect my back, because it's not the first time that I bend that I will have a problem. It's when you do repeatedly bending forward and with a little bit of rotation, that's the exact spot, or you know, that's a vulnerable area that you can cause pain. All right, let's do some exercises. So do it with me. So if you have any questions, you can ask me right now. All right. So now remember, I'm giving you basic exercises. This may or may not be right for you, because I have not examined your spine. I don't know whether they're right for you, but I've given you some basic things. Do it. If you feel that it's uncomfortable or if it's causing pain, then you stop. First exercise let's do is a bending backward. So this also a lot of people do wrong. So basically, place your hands behind your back and then bend backwards like that. That's how you want to do a backward bend. Go ahead and do it. If there are questions, let me know. So I'll do it from the side so you know how I'm doing it. Hands behind your back. That. Now notice that my neck didn't go backwards. My head was facing straight ahead, and that is important because you don't want to strain your neck. Next one, sitting in a chair, you can do this. Cross your leg in a figure four. Okay, and then go forward. Feels good. And then definitely want to do the other leg as well. All right, let's do standing exercises. So I hope you've done those two. The next one is a very simple side bend, because our muscles on the side, lower back, also get stiff, and if we don't do enough, then they can also become stiff and cause pain. So all we are doing is a simple side glide. Go as far as you can. and come back. That. And I can feel a gentle stretch in my sides of the lower back. Okay, so we've done 3 stretches so far. One was backward bending, standing backward bending. Second was piriformis stretch, which was bending, crossing the leg in a figure 4 and going forward. Third one was side to side bends. Okay, so now we're going to do lying down exercises. Do as closely to what I'm doing, and then if you have any questions, you can ask. Exercise 1 is a very gentle cat camel. So basically you are shoulder width here, thighs parallel to each other, and very gentle up and down. Okay, so do 10 reps of that. Usually this feels good to those people whose spine feels stiff. And you are staying in mid-range, so it usually doesn't cause pain. So this one is a safer exercise to do for most people. My next one is on your tummy. Remember I said we do too much forward bending, so we need to do some extension. So this one basically, all you do is you're on your tummy like this, on your elbows. Relax your lower back, relax your glutes, stay here for about 20 seconds. And then go back down, and then come back up. Okay, just like that. Make sure your back is relaxed in this position. It feels really good to the lower back. Just let it settle, let all the tension go. Hold for 20 counts, and then go back down. And you repeat this about 5 times. All right. The next exercise is a Bhujangasana, basically this. But this based on how you feel you should do. It's very powerful. You don't want to hold this exercise. You only want to do 10 reps and go up and then come back down. You don't want to hold this one for very long, but it's a good one to do, but only do it if there is no pain while you do it. You might feel some stretch, you might feel some like a pull while you do it in the middle of the spine. That is just your vertebra that's stiff. But if there is pain, then don't do this one. Just do the one on your elbow. The next exercise we are going to do is a simple bridge. I want you to do this one right with me. Most people do the bridge wrong. You're going to be lying down. Make sure that you pull your core in like that. Make sure you squeeze your butt. Okay. And then you lift up. Hold for about 5 seconds. Make sure there's no tilting going on. Make sure you're nice and firm through here. Everything is still tight. And then slowly go back down. Okay, the next one, while I'm here, I'll just quickly show you, is a pelvic tilt. So it's basically flattening your back and arching. Okay, so flat and arch. Flat and arch. I really like this pelvic tilt. It's a really beginner exercise. It feels really good to do. And it's very safe to do. So if it feels nice to do, definitely do a lot more of these. So these are safe exercises you can do. Try them today. See if it helps your back. Do some ice pack. Change some of the things that we talked about today and see if it helps. If it doesn't, then don't ignore your back pain. Get in touch with a medical professional you trust, and then do the needful.